Welcome to the Kansas City Stars.
I saw you the other night and I didn't get a chance to say hi. I'm so
I saw you
sorry.
walking by. There's like so many people at the International Film Coalition Kansas City has tremendous participation in my mind.
Yes.
Uh,
I
I,
and
were
it
you,
and it's tripled. I mean, based on I think I went to my first meeting for IFC like something embarrassing like 2008 and whatnot. And wow. I,
yeah, it's great. Yeah, they had 22 teams. Were you on a team?
I was not. I haven't done the IFC competitions for a little while. I let someone's commentary kind of get under my skin a little bit too much. But when I was sitting, um, I go to the kickoffs to steal a donut and talk to people and whatnot, whether I'm on a team or not. I just absolutely love that. But so people were sitting around in their little circles, starting to create their ideas and talk about stuff. And it was the first time I think in like a year that I was like, I think I made the wrong choice. I should have done it.
Okay, it's
But it
okay.
was fun.
Well, the KC Stars podcast, I just really started it like 7 weeks ago. It's very new. You're my eighth guest. You are the first guest that I have not either shared a scene with or who has chosen me and directed me and that sort of thing. So, congratulations. Um,
Congratulations, you have not worked with me.
yes, you have not. No, but yeah.
I
So
and that was surprising when you told me that. When you texted
yeah,
me that, it's like, really? We've never wound up in the same movie. I
no,
know I've never looked
I've
into your eyes,
seen
but
you at the same places and all that. We've probably worked with a lot of the same people, just
mhm.
not in the same productions. But yeah, so we're focusing on the film industry in Kansas and Missouri. And I just wanted to hear an introduction from you on kind of who you are, what you do, your relationship with the Kansas City film industry.
My relationship with uh, Kansas City is complete. It's 100%.
Okay.
I was born and raised here, so that's Kansas City. The film community, I kind of stumbled upon that, but I can, I guess, tell that story later when it's more. I'm an actor. It's probably going to be in your description and whatnot, but
That's
like
okay.
actor, dancer, singer, choreographer, just kind of general performer. I'm trying to learn other skills to be like not a horribly boring person,
Well, you
but we'll
have a
see.
lot of weightlifting skills I can see behind you and yoga mats.
Oh, this room is a complete lie, by the way.
I
We
figured
had
it was.
oh well, I mean it's my dance studio, but I do, you know, my little 5 pound weight or whatever services, you know, some
I
days.
actually
But
thought it was the background. I didn't know that was a real room.
no, this is my dance studio. There's all the mirrors are right here. The ballet bar, you can't really see it. It's kind of right there. Sorry, but yeah, I was going to tell you that this is a complete lie because we had like a flood in our condo, and like this all of this was just in water,
Oh
and
my
so we
goodness.
had to. But other parts of the condo needed to be like moved over here, and so all that is piled behind this lovely backdrop here.
Oh,
I
so
bet
do you,
you can't tell at all.
no, do you own a dance studio then?
Own. I mean, technically, your words are correct. That sounds way fancier though than the
Well,
truth.
okay.
Which is just that we've commandeered this space to be a dance studio. Like in the pictures of the home, this is where everybody's living room was. But I was like, how lame. Why would you have a living room? What do you need that for? Why?
Exactly. Why do you need it? So tell me just about your background, 'cause I don't know how you got started into acting.
Uh, I, I think it's because I'm annoying. And I say that because I remember my mom turning around. I was in the driveway. We were in the driveway coming home from something. I'm sure I was being absolutely obnoxious about something. And I vividly remember her turning around exasperated and being like, do you want to be in dance classes? Like that I was doing something that was just way too much energy. And that's when I was like 5 or 6 years old at that point. That same dance studio, Donna's, which is out in Belton, still exists, still amazing. Donna, second mom, uh, had drama classes as well. But by class, I'm using that now that I've gotten training, in college and whatnot. The word class is being used very fluidly, to mean we just did fun skits, and we were always right up against our audiences and dinner theaters and silly plays and musicals and stuff like that. So yeah, and that happened. I started going to those classes when I was about 9 or 10 or something. So
Yeah,
pretty
it's
much my whole
yeah. So you've been doing it a long
life.
time, and you bring up something that I've noticed before also. I've seen people that are having classes like acting classes or the industry classes, and my view is they really don't have, like, they have not really achieved a high level. Some have, but some are having classes and they haven't really done a lot. And I think you've done a lot. Have you ever thought about teaching classes?
No, I would be the worst teacher in the world. Oh my gosh. Uh, and that's almost why I didn't go to the college that I wound up going to, was because I was encouraged to go there because it's like, no, they have an amazing teaching program. And I was like, oh, like gagging over it, just the thought. And even as a choreographer, I know that my patience level is just not what it needs to be to encourage others.
Oh
I,
no. Oh
I,
no. You would be a hard director. You would be one of those difficult directors.
I think I might become real nasty eventually. So
Wow.
yeah, I'm just gonna stay away from that.
Well, the I guess I saw you last night. You were at the IFCKC, um, the one night stand where 22 teams competed. Um, but I saw you 6 months ago. I think we were both in films, and I don't know how you won Best Performance when I was also in one, but somehow you beat me out.
No.
Didn't you win Best Performer in like 6 months ago?
Uh, you might be referring to the filmmaker face off.
Filmmaker Face Off, where they had different films, different.
Yes, during which I was going to the bathroom. I thought that they were going to need more time to tabulate the audience choice awards. So like I ran away. And first of all, I don't think that I knew that that was a possible award. I don't know what's going on when I go to events. I just show up and talk to people and then leave as confused as ever, if not more. So I went to the bathroom, and then I came out and was chilling in the lobby, and they were like, they're saying your name. And I was like, why? Horrifying. For what? Did, did I
You
knock
did.
some
You did an
did I knock
outstanding
some old
job.
lady over on my way out?
You did an outstanding job. I mean, you deserve to win. There were like watching it, there were two or three people that I thought it's going to be between you and I think it was Tiffany Michelle. I was like picturing who could win, and you won out. You did a fantastic job. Really were. That was
Oh
great.
man, Tiffany, I'm so glad you brought. I watched her interview with you, and it was just as exactly as pleasant and wonderful as I thought it would be. But she is so talented, man. Like the improv, and she hosts the, at least I've seen her host the BLK showcase, I think. She does the Blackbirds. She's doing all kinds of sketches out there, and then is somehow in every commercial on earth, and then runs over and does this film or whatever. Just like this amazingly talented individual. I'm so glad you brought up her name. I couldn't wait to sing praises.
Yeah, no, she's outstanding. My wife and I went and saw her comedy show because you brought up Belton. Oh no, she was in Grandview. She was in Grandview, and we went and saw
Close
her
enough.
show, and it
Close enough.
was fantastic. I mean, she was, not to say anything because the others were good too, but it was like she was like a level of polished that the others were not. I mean, she was outstanding.
Mhm.
Um,
I mean, and she's so young too, that there's still so far to go, and she's already come. I think my first interaction with her was in Special Delivery, that was written and directed by Jacob Allen Clark. I don't know if you know him, but the movie's not out yet. Pressure, pressure, pressure. If he's watching this. But yeah, an absolutely lovely person, as has I I've watched all of the interviews.
that's
I'm trying to
awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So
watch Tiffany's, but I've seen all of them.
yeah, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Kind of the goal is to basically interview as many people as I can in the filmmaker industry,
Yeah.
actors, actresses. Um, filmmakers, directors. I also want to interview crew. I want to interview people who have movie ideas, writers. I'm actually super impressed with writers, by the way. I'm obsessed with how they come up with something out of nothing. I'm just really impressed with that. Um,
And I was, and just like I told you, but I don't want it to be hidden in a message. I thank you for doing this because, as I said, like Kansas City kind of, I mean, with the tax incentive, but also just like this newfound curiosity and interest, both in theater and in art and whatnot. Other cities have their eyes on us and keep dropping in. But I do think it's really important to keep these little channels for our community, the people who live here, to know each other, enjoy each other, talk to each other. So I'm so grateful to be here talking to you. Thank you for
yeah,
doing this.
thank you. Very nice. I'm just getting started, so I'm glad to have, some of the like people that I view as some of the top people in Kansas City in the film industry. And like I said, I've never worked with you, but I basically what motivated me to reach out to you was I saw you get Best Actor or Best Performance, and I agreed with it. I thought it was excellent. I thought you did such a great job. I saw you in a play 2 years ago. So I've seen you in
Did
a
you?
play. Yeah, I went to a play. I saw you in a play, and then I don't remember the name of it, but I saw you in a play like in 2021, and then, but
Not
I didn't know who you
memorable. Got
were.
it. Got it.
Yeah, I didn't. It was Casey Jane and I did a commercial in Topeka. And so it was right about that time, and she was going to be in the play. So I went to watch because I'd met her. And like Jeremy
Oh,
Walters, he and I have been in
well,
things together. So like people that I've been in things with, I want to go see them perform.
yeah, that narrows it down. You either saw Bite Marks or Taming of the Shrew. Then
Taming of the Shrew.
that's it.
You were very
Wow.
ornery. You stood out again. You stood out
I,
again.
I would define it as absolute crazy sauce, but
Yeah, yeah, like you're really good in wild child roles, but wild child, that's a good role for
uh,
you. That was good.
it's not a
Um,
roll.
your method, your method actor. So tell me about your training.
Oh, okay. I guess if I had to break it down into categories, there's the familiarity that I got from the dance studio. Uh, Dancing also makes you familiar with the audience and not afraid of them, which is the typical response to being on stage. Um, and then also, like I said, we were performing really, really close to our audience. So, and even I think that may have inadvertently trained me to not be a very good stage actor because I was like, oh, I don't have to project that far because there's 3 rows and they're exactly 5 feet in front of me.
Mhm.
Then you move on to high school where that's where I learned extreme stage fright probably. Uh, just because that's when the judgment stuff comes in. Like I was so safe and pampered at the dance studio with just loving people all around me. But high school was just like, oh, you realize they're so much better than me, and I kind of want to be like them, but I'm not like them at all. I'm not good enough, and yeah, and then I started shaking and just wanting to die before I went on stage, but still
Wow.
going.
Wait,
More
so
more with dancing and singing than acting, but definitely always this feeling of like there's this force field on the stage and like that there's this that invisible line between backstage and on stage where I had to learn how to just kind of as soon as you take that first foot, the first toe on stage, it's like, and that's it. And everything you were feeling is gone. But that was probably a survival
that's amazing
because
to hear because I saw you in The Taming of the Shrew, where you were wild and loud and goofy and obnoxious and all that. It was great. It was great. And you didn't come across shy at all.
it was a disaster for me. It was one of those hard ones where I wind up crying about it in my room. I don't think I told anybody, but like asking questions like why did they cast me and just I'm sure it happens to everybody, but like if you see me on the floor with a script, like on the floor, not on a table, desk, whatever, no, if I've gotten to the floor, um it's gotten rough. It's rough in here. So like I cried over that whole show. So I'm glad that it wasn't a complete disaster, but it felt like a disaster to me
Really?
before. Yeah. And then okay, so getting back to training, UCM is really that's in Warrensburg. UCM
That's
is
where I
really
was
where it
born.
really. And I even watched your interview with the jukebox ginger thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And you didn't say that. I kind of noted in my head that you lived in Jeff City, which I thought was interesting. So Warrensburg. Oh my
I
gosh,
was born in Warrensburg. I grew up in Sedalia and then went to college in Springfield. I lived in Jeff City. I worked for Department of Mental Health. And believe it or not, I was the program director for the state of Missouri Department of Corrections mental health program.
I absolutely knew that because you say that in the jukebox ginger interview,
Oh,
and
oh,
I was
okay.
like,
That's my big job. I
wow,
feel bragging about it because I didn't
yes.
love it,
No,
but I,
I want to talk to you more about your experience on that. Like, if we ever sit down, like in person or whatever, I want to hear the crazy stories from that for
yeah, yeah.
sure.
So it was a
But
lot.
anyway, UCM, I didn't experience all that UCM had until like the last semester, meaning I didn't ever like go out and like party. But that's where I got the extensive. I'm sorry, most of my training. And I have to just throw it to the professors that taught when I was there. John Wilson specifically. He's not there anymore. I don't know where he moved and whatnot. He was the chair for a hot second, then he moved. But like as far as like gosh, teaching all the methods and all that stuff and your Stanislavski, your Meisner, your Adler, Higgins, Strasberg, Linklater was a big one for him. The vocal techniques and whatnot, and stage movement, all of that stuff was just like so foundational, and just allowed me to take a natural kind of familiarity with acting and just put some meat behind it. That was John, and then you had all the history and learning about all the genres, your Greek, your Russian, your all that stuff, the theater of the absurd, which I use to this day, both in for roles and in life. To Julia Ray Molenkamp, and then Richard Herman Buzz was the chair of the theater department, and he taught me about directing. And if you want to be a better actor, you should learn about directing. Just like being a better director is about learning about includes learning about acting. Like I learned so much about what directors want from me from taking directing classes. So like a lot of that came from UCM. But I just that's where I'm a product of UCM, like legitimately.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where did you go to high school? Did you go to high school in Belton?
I went to Hickman Mills High School, Hickman Mills,
Oh,
which does
okay.
not exist anymore. And actually, I when I watched Maurice King Clark's interview with you, he lived in the same area I did because he talks
Oh,
about
wow.
Ruskin. And so, like 2 years after I graduated from Hickman, they the school just disappeared. And now I think it's a middle school for some other horrible school. I'm just kidding. But then all the for some other horrible. But then all the Hickman students went to Ruskin, and they were worried about fights and shootings and all this stuff. But apparently, what I've heard is that it was a very peaceful transition. That the rivalry was completely manufactured, and everybody was like, "We don't care," and that it was cool. So I loved hearing him talk about that.
Hey, so can you tell me what have you accomplished as an actress? I know you've been a lead in several plays, and I know that you have been awarded. What other things have you been awarded?
Oh, see, you went. I feel like if we could erase the word award from the lexicon of this discussion, that would make it feel a lot more.
Honors. What honors have you
Yeah.
received?
Well, because when you said accomplishment, what my mind directly went to was not wanting to die before performing.
Okay, okay.
Um, the fact that I've gotten over that seems like a pretty big. I mean, not completely, but yet when I say that like I wanted to like run away and hide in a small corner of a dark room in a fetal position every time I was about to step on stage, I'm not
Wow,
kidding. That's how I felt, and it
wow.
and it doesn't feel like that anymore, especially for film.
Why did you keep coming back if you felt that way? What was the drive?
I'm unwell. I don't know. I I don't think that I no legitimately I don't think I have any other skills.
You don't think you have
that
any other skills, but you're a dancer. You could be a
where
dance
you
instructor.
oh
I'm sure you have other skills. I,
again
I
the
don't,
poor
I
the
don't
poor
believe
children.
you.
I couldn't subject the poor children to me as a
I,
teacher.
yeah. Well, so you've gotten over that, and that sounds like that was like a big deal in your life, was getting over that stage fright or that fear
Yeah.
before you walked out. How did you get over it?
It's got to be, I feel like the solution to nerves, and I discovered this a long time ago, but that it didn't occur to me that it would help me ultimately with the overarching fear is just preparation, like just in terms of like performing a simple monologue for an audition. The more times you do it, you get in the situation, you can be as nervous as your body wants you to be, but your body will take over for you if you really have prepared that hard, which is why I consider myself like a really studious person, just in terms of like all the script work and character work and memorization, line memorization. I have like a 3 tier process for that. And it's just, if you do enough, you don't have to feel on the day at all, I guess, if you don't want to.
Wow.
It's such a disconnected way to phrase that. That's not what I meant.
That's okay. No, no, I know what you meant though. I know what you meant. You don't have to feel nervous on that day.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
can choose not to because you're so immersed maybe in the role and the understanding and the preparation.
It certainly should. I think that that's probably the goal. Yeah.
What is your three-step process?
For line memorization, I'm so glad you asked me. We've now entered the most boring part of the podcast. um,
Not to people
so
that want to learn lines.
Right, but there's a well, first of all, when I say something like know your lines, that includes all the script analysis and character breakdown, beats, verbs, objectives, goals, tactics, all that stuff, right? That's to me, that's knowing your lines. But we're gonna skip over that, right? So there's not enough time in the day or enough patience in my body to explain that. Just the lines, you read the script several times. Sometimes it doesn't take any effort at all. I was in a play by Joe, or it was called Joe, and it was by Pete Bakley. Um, and it's the only time I've ever gotten to work with Pete Bakley, and that's highly upsetting to me because he's a genius. But the lines happened to be written in kind of a voice that was similar to mine, so like the words just kind of came out. It was so easy to memorize that, and I had like a 3 page monologue in that, and I was very, very thankful that it was kind of written in a voice that was similar to mine. But when it's not, um, or even if it is, you read the script, right? And then you get a blank piece of paper and you put it over the next line, or you put it over your line and you read your cue line, right? And you try to, you say your line a couple of times, then you cover it up. Say your line. If you got it a little bit wrong, you do it 3 more times, right? Until you get it right. And you do that for every single line. Now, here, as soon as you can do that, as soon as you know your lines when they're covered up by the blank piece of paper, that's when you start including friends, or as I like to call Matt, to do lines with me. And the first step, or the second tier, is to do it while you're doing an activity, folding laundry, doing dishes, any kind of other activity where your body and your mind are engaged in some other thing while you're doing the lines. Now, at this point, you could stop and be like, yeah, I know my line's cold, whatever. You don't. As with any skill, it kind of goes up and then it plateaus, right? And how I get over that plateau is by having somebody read the lines with me and then reading them in a completely different way than I'm planning on performing them multiple times. You picked all different kinds of intentions, feelings, goals, pitch, tone. Make it weird, because if a scene is going differently than the way you planned it in your head or the way you saw it going, sometimes you can be completely thrown by that and you can't remember your line because you practice saying it a certain way,
Mhm.
but what that person is giving you is making you respond a different way than how you had rehearsed it in your head. So if you're prepped to say it in whatever way, then you're able to stay with your partner and like be alive and present in the scene without losing your lines.
That's a fantastic idea. That last one I hadn't. I hadn't done it quite like that before. It's actually great advice. Great advice. That will be a clip, and someone will find that very useful. Someone
But
will find
it's,
that very
but
useful.
are you sure though? Because I don't think people like to hear about that. I think, what
I
do people
I think
care?
that a lot of people that are new at this haven't thought about ways to do their lines. I do the initials. Have you done that before, where you do the initials? Like that's how I memorize lines. Like the first letter.
You said this is insane to me. I When you talked about that, I can't remember who you were talking to, either Lauren or Tiffany, I think. But like, yeah, when you said that, I was like, what is he talking about? Oh my God.
Yeah, well, the whole thing is like, so if it's like your line is come over here, Nicole Hall. C is capital, O lowercase, N H period. And you do it that way. And then I write the line out in front of it, wherever the other person's line is. And then when I get to that, I feel
Yeah,
like I have to recall it rather than like the paper down and look at it and reread it. I
right.
have to look at it and recall it right then because it just says CONH. So I feel like it helps me with long-term memory better. And I mean, I read about it somewhere, or someone told me about it. I didn't invent it.
Okay. So, question: when you are doing the scene with the other person, does the snapshot of the COHN, does that pop up in your brain ever
Yes, it
when you're
does.
doing it?
Yeah,
Is
yes,
that
it does.
distracting to you?
No,
That would be
no,
just
no, it's good. I mean, it's one of these things where it's a way, I actually feel like I can memorize lines faster that way because you read over the script, you read over the script, you feel like you have it, and then you spend the time and effort to write it out. Then you look at it and you're not reading it, you're looking at it and you're trying to remember it with hints.
Mhm.
And then I feel like it actually helps. But yeah, I don't know.
Humans are weird.
Yeah,
Whatever works for any individual human is what works and is what they should do.
but I like your idea, like the mundane task, saying your lines. I just automatically do that. As I'm walking, I start talking, saying lines, doing other things. I do that already, but I didn't think about it as an actual tool to practice it. I just do it because I start feeling that pressure to not screw up in front of everybody.
Your your method actually reminds me of something really weird that I got a lot of flack for during the pandemic, of memorizing all of the United States and the capitals in almost alphabetical order, because it's just a weird mnemonic of
Yeah,
just letters and numbers. Yeah, it reminds. So it's not. I don't think that my brain doesn't not work like that. I've just never tried lines like that, I guess.
yeah, that's good. Well, I think you're doing well. So I was shocked when you said you hadn't competed because of a comment, because you're absolutely wonderful actress. So it doesn't make sense to me.
Uh, threw that out there. I guess so.
You don't have to name any names, but like what?
You caught no, you catching that is actually like impressive. Like, okay, Kyle's all up in the Kool-Aid. Um, there was okay. There's the comment of, effectively what I took away was, you're annoying. You're doing too much. You're you you're being annoying. You're too involved. Whatever. So that's kind of what I took from it. But comments don't stop people. People stop themselves. And with that knowledge, uh, when I heard that comment, what happened, and I didn't realize that this is what happened, is I saw an element of truth in it, because I was self conscious and I felt annoying. So because I saw the element of truth in it, I stopped myself from doing the IFC competitions, which I love doing. I always want to be involved in everything that's happening there or whatnot. But yeah, there's no reason. It's my own fault. It wasn't somebody's comment. Is never should never shake me that hard or get that far underneath my skin. You know,
Well, I have to tell you, I think in the play I saw you in, you were excellent at being
and
annoying.
annoying.
Excellent, excellent at being annoying. So I think that's a gift. They were complimenting your skill. But no, I actually I disagree with that comment. I think a performance is a performance. If they find your performance annoying, that doesn't make sense to me.
Oh no, because
If it's fun.
they meant it about the current film festival competition thing that I had just been in.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
the
Well,
filmmaker face off. I get yeah. That's
yeah,
the one.
no, there's always going to be comments and stuff, and I've seen films that I just don't make those comments to people. I'll make them when I get home to my wife, but nobody else on some of those comments.
Oh, because that's the rule. You can't talk about the thing that you just watched in the space where you watched it. You have to
Yeah,
save it. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's rude. Um, but no, actually, I think it's kind of nice that you did step out so somebody else could win best performance. It was very nice of you. Very nice.
That is the
Uh,
worst. This is over. We're done. No.
no, that's good. That's good. No, no, but I think it's good. And everybody like, things ebbs and flow, and maybe it's like also taking a break from things is okay sometimes. So I get it. What
I'm
do
never
you?
gonna stop. I'm never gonna stop going, man. I love those. The one night stand the other night was it's getting so good. There were so many good ideas,
Yeah.
and many of them so well executed. Uh, I was just a wonderful night at the movie.
I
So
thought they were great. I mean, like you could kind of pick, like, I thought Thomas Smith did a fantastic job as that spokesperson. I thought Thomas Smith's a great guy, but I thought he did a fantastic job. The problem is there were so many other fantastic performances and stories and everything else. There were a lot of them that I thought might win. And, like the top six or seven in my mind were all pretty darn close.
but you're talking about the best performance thing,
No, not the best performance.
or you're talking about the first overall and stuff.
The first
Yeah.
overall, first, second, and third. The one that got third, I voted as first. I really thought it was probably the best one in my mind. The one with the
Are
lady,
you talking? Is that the remainder?
yeah, where she's preparing for a role and her name is like Jessica Davis Vance. I thought that was so wonderful. I loved that.
I I loved it, and it was so well edited too. Because that joke that happens when I don't know. I should have probably memorized this girl's name in order to give her props here, give her flowers because I just thought it was such a strong performance. But when she turns around or she goes, you're still going to be editing this for me later, aren't you, or whatever, and then just pops up down in the corner like JD, like it, the timing aspect. Comedy is so hard. I love, and you're right that when that film played, I was like, yep, absolutely love that. And at the same time, Matt was whispering into my ear was like, that was that was
Yeah.
fantastic. I was
I,
like, great, I'm
I
not a crazy person.
everything like where she's talking about how mentally like sharp she is, and then she's like circled 50, but it wasn't really 50. It was spelled wrong. She's
And
circling wrong.
and how much of that was improv and how much was that written? I need to find that answer because if this was all scripted, yeah, great execution and whatnot, but I want to know who the writer is on that.
Yeah.
Speaking of you appreciating writers so much,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was hilarious. It was hilarious. Um, yeah. So have you won any other like IFC KC awards at any of the other competition?
You with the awards, I
I,
I
I
don't
view
know.
you as a
I
highly
blocked
awarded
it out.
person. Other people see good in you.
And I will say that if oh, I'm about to sound so cheesy, complete a-hole. If somebody sees a performance of mine and as well as anybody does that a performance on film is the product of like 15 different things going right or moderately right in order to even anyway. So if somebody sees something like that and appreciates the film or enough or the message enough or connects with it or blah, 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 to put a check mark next to my name, I of course that's about humans connecting on a certain level because when I get up there I have like two goals, like don't be boring and tell the truth, you know. So if you are liking something I'm doing, it's either I would assume it's because you like to be entertained and you like it when someone is telling the truth to you. So that's great. That's a human connection thing.
That's good. I'm a Nicole Hall fan. So,
I'm a I'm a Kylo Ren fan.
what'd you say?
I said I'm a Kylo Ren fan.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen a number of your films as well.
What have you seen?
Wholesome Grove.
Okay.
Uh, um, oh shoot, Southern Fried Romance. I just tracked that down on YouTube. The best. Oh wait, no. Yeah,
Best day of your life?
no, I haven't seen that. That's on the list. Sorry, keeping them separate or whatever.
The last half an hour. It's an hour and 1 minute movie. My voice is in it. I think they show me getting dressed a little bit, like putting on the priest thing, but I'm not in it until the last half, and then I'm a huge part of the last half. But the first half,
Okay, okay.
I'm not, just the way they do
Southern Fried Romance was crazy because you're the one who keeps giving him drinks, right? Or am I?
it.
I only watched it the one time. Oh
So,
no! Oh my gosh. Okay, so Wholesome Grove is the one where you're the boss that they're trying to convince to be a good person,
yes, yes,
and it
yes.
kind of works.
Yeah, it works. It works. And Eric Willis always has like an element, like a little spiritual element in his movies. And the necklace that the girl had when I was a little boy, um, she was wearing a necklace. She was like my guardian angel, trying to make me a better person as a little boy. And
Mhm.
then the girl who dies is wearing the same necklace and sends it to me. So it was kind of like I had someone trying to influence me in a positive way.
Yes, I will say that that's a running theme for Eric.
Yeah,
He's a softie. You can tell.
he is. It was good. Yeah, he's got another movie coming out, or being starting to be filmed in August. Finding Tessa, and it
Are
actually,
you going to be in that?
I am in that.
Okay.
I am in that. I have a smaller role than Wholesome Grove, but a bigger role than Southern Fried Romance. So,
Okay.
but it should be pretty good. So, what do you have going on? What are your next
Right.
projects?
I was just going to say break a leg on Finding Tessa. Can't wait to see
Yes.
it. I'll hunt it down like I do all of Eric's films.
Yeah, I like Eric's movies.
Oh yeah, the goth girl cowboy or country screams, Heart of a Sunset,
Yeah,
one last sunset.
I've seen
He
all
likes
those
or
same
sunrise.
ones.
He likes sunsets and sunrises. That I know for sure. I'm sorry. What do I have?
Yeah, what are you working
Uh
on?
well, there's a handful of films that are supposed to come out at one point or another. But right now I'm in rehearsals for Fringe Festival, and I'm doing two shows for that, and that's obnoxious. I almost always wind up in two shows because I didn't realize that the second one was happening. Like I'd agreed like a year ago to do it and then
Ah,
forgot. So yeah, I'm in a show for Ace Lovelace. Um, they're on the I, I think the diversity inclusion committee. I'm not sure if that's what it's called. Um, but that's a musical, and I'm pretty wicked in that, and hopefully pretty wacky. I don't know. We'll see what we can put together since you like that so much.
I do like that. I like that.
And the
Because
other
you're
one is,
petite, like you're petite and you look really nice, and then you make yourself like ornery and like it doesn't fit like what you look like. So I just think it's great.
well, now I feel like we're huge spoilers now. Like,
Okay,
you
okay,
know,
okay, okay, okay. No
no,
more.
I'm planning on this role is going to be really polite and well mannered.
All right, all right. Good, good.
Nice. And then I'm going to be in Spooky Shit Show, which is the third iteration I've been in by virtue of the fact that I play a character who's kind of the host of the show. And then there's always an ensemble of actors performing skits and doing wacky stuff and whatnot. Um, and I always have a co host. The last two shows, my co host was Matt, my my fiance, and he always dies in them, and at some point tries to kill me.
That's
But
perfect. I love it.
I'm the last girl in Spooky Shit Show. I thought I was going to get to die in this one. Spoiler alert, but I don't. Uh, Rude. Derek promised that he would kill me at some point, but this one is not the one. I'm spoiling it so bad.
It's
Anyway,
good.
now
It's
nobody's
good.
going to be worried for my life.
So, tell me about the movies you have coming out.
Um, uh, I was cast in Patrick and Lolo's feature, Lolo Loren and Patrick Poe. IX Productions or Raven Cow Productions are doing The Family Jewels, um, where I play a detective. I was just joking with another person who just asked me to audition for another detective role that I think I've been asked to play like 4 or 5 detectives, and there's something wrong with the detective, like something's, you know.
That's perfect.
Um,
You don't want
but
to be a boring detective. You want to be a little spicy detective. I like it.
well, I don't want to be a boring anything, but yeah, the Family Jewels, that's coming out as soon as we can start to shoot it. It's not even in production at this point. Meet Me There is a movie I did with Matt by Jerry Rapp, and it's based on another film that was made with pretty much the same thing that happens or whatever. But Jerry saw it and contacted the original maker of that film and was like, "Can I remake your thing?" So we remade that with loving permission. And that should be coming out soon. Dance with the Devil is a film that was made directed by Claire Mariah Nunley. Are you familiar with her? Did
Names always sound familiar to me in the Kansas City area, but I don't always know what they look
Oh
like
yeah.
or who they are. So,
Well, she's if you ever get a chance to meet Claire Nunley, she's an absolute sweetheart. She's so smart. I'm so glad that I met her. This is my first. I tend to want to collect directors, so I was super excited that I was being directed by someone completely different. And this was for the One Night Stand last year, but we kind of made a longer. I don't think anybody on the team knew the time constraints of the film. I knew it, but I didn't know that I was the communicator of said information.
hmm.
I think they thought for a second, like, why didn't you say something? And I was like, I don't know. I got my stupid actor brain on. I don't know. So anyway, I think I was yelling for them to release the Claire cut. Release the Claire cut. That's something more like 9, 10, 11 minutes or something like that. So that should be coming out soon. There's Kings that was made with Carter Bro out in Springfield, um, with a fantastic actor named Yaya, and I don't know his last name. Oh, I'm such a shit. Um, that one was really interesting one. If you go to my Instagram, you can see the trailer for it. But I play a chess champion, not like a world chess. I'm not like 2,800 like Magnus Carlsen or something like that, but like something like 1,200 chess champion, like pretty hard to beat. That was a really interesting experience, and I'm excited for that film. Really, really well done. Written and directed by Carter. Oh, do you know Andrew Sint?
I do not.
I may be pronouncing his last name wrong. I've never heard it out loud, but he's doing a feature called Bodies, and I got to be. I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but everything that happens to me is insane, or everything that I do. Like I got to dance in that film. I got to play around with a different language in that film. I'm
Wow.
on drugs in that film. It's this wild array of crazy stuff that happens. So I'm really excited to see that. And Frederick, last name starts with a G, Gouge, is the lead in that.
Okay.
So
I
I got
know
to
who
play
Frederick
around.
is. I've met Frederick.
Okay. I got to play around with Frederick in that one, and that one was fun. And I also met Gabby last night, who's now working. They've been filming it for like a year, and it goes
Wow.
through like different seasons. Like you hit your spring, winter, summer, da, 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 da. And that's how the film is arranged. So they've been like filming it over like the legitimate seasons, and how each character kind of comes in and comes out, and it's going to be so weird and interesting. I love the way he filmed that. I don't know if Megan Crockett is going to release Temp, but that's a film. She's a UMKC student. She's taking classes or was taking classes under Anthony Laddish. But yeah, I did a film for her student showcase thing and whatnot. That's called Temp. I don't know if it's ever coming out, but it's done.
That's okay. Do you see yourself as a like more of a theater person or a movie person? Like which would you like what do you lead with? If someone says like, "Oh, you're an
Uh,
actor," what do you do? What do you act in? What do they say? What do you say?
I say, you know what? I don't know why theater always comes first, but I say I'm a theater and film actor. Like,
Okay.
but
Okay.
it's a combo pack.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
do
That's
say
great.
theater first because that's where it started, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
Have you
Um,
ever done theater? Like
I
live
have
theater?
never done theater. I'm barely an actor compared to you. So, but no,
I'm,
I've never done theater. I travel for work, and so I would love to, but I
mhm.
travel so much for work that it would be really difficult.
It
I,
is hard because you have those. I mean, we have a lot more rehearsals in theater, like a
yeah,
month of rehearsals.
yeah. I mean, I was gone. I was in Duluth, Minnesota last week, Monday through Friday morning. I flew back, and then I was on set with 916 Productions. Uh,
I've heard of that production
yeah,
company.
and
I can't
then
remember what I've seen. What have they worked on? What are you working on?
they do. Actually, probably wouldn't be a bad idea for you to send in stuff to them, but they do vertical
Oh,
series,
I was going to say this is the vertical
dramatic.
thing. You told me about this.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, because like Lauren Smith's heavily involved. This was my my fourth um, vertical series that they put on that I've been in. I did three. They did 10 shorts, like just test out to see which one was most popular, and I did three of the 10. So like, I mean, I've been involved with them quite a bit. They're actually wonderful.
Mhm.
I highly recommend
Well,
that.
I don't want to submit something because then I'll wind up being slapped around like Lauren.
Yeah, yeah. It's very dramatic. I will tell you this this last one, trying to think if there's any confidentiality clause. Oh well, I yell really mean at someone who I believe has killed a family member of mine. And then the one before I slap somebody in the face. And then the one before what did I do the one before?
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
well.
Something
Oh, I
horrible, I'm
called a
sure.
lady a horrible name and then her boyfriend punched me in the face. And then the one before I insult somebody and I try to kidnap people and then I get killed. And like, I mean, it's just like really, really dramatic stuff.
Have any of these insults been particularly clever, and would you share them with me?
I can't share the one I call the lady a horrible name. Um, but no,
I want to know.
I can't say it
Give me
on this. This is
give me
PG. It
the.
starts
Okay.
with a W. So,
Oh, okay.
but a
I got
worthless blank or whatever. Like it's just like really, but it's just really dramatic. But it's kind of fun to overact sometimes. So I enjoy it. That's more what like it's just I say overact. It's just really dramatic. Like
one.
kind of like the Asian soap operas is what they're tailored on. That's what they're supposed to be like.
Well, and so the term overact is hitting something in my brain that's
Well,
causing an alarm bell, because in all the different styles of acting. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, like with Greek or whatever, Chinese theater, clowning, it's acting is such a wide. I'm sure when you say that you mean like versus realism, like when you're looking for just some Meisner, like just whatever.
okay, like
but but when you are under the umbrella of the entirety of acting, overacting doesn't really exist. Like I still
okay,
count, and I'm getting ready in Fringe Festival to, I think according to your definition, overact my socks off on both these characters because they're
I love it.
supposed, the style, the genre of the show is just that. So I'm
Yeah.
appropriately acting.
No, it's good. It's good. It's okay. Like, well, you're talking about like with Lauren getting slapped multiple times, getting slapped
Mhm.
like this and slapping people. Like, I would never slap somebody because they said something like, "Don't you ever talk that way about him." Like it's like we're all adults, we're in suits, and then I slap the other guy in the face. Like, it's just funny.
Mhm.
I guess like a real life for someone who lives in drama, maybe, but probably not
Yeah.
everyday folks. But
I
it's
mean, when no, when
entertaining.
I think she's the one who said, it's mostly like soap opera. And I used to
Yeah.
love me some Passions. Did you ever watch the show Passions?
I didn't. I watched The Young and the Restless. 35 years
See,
ago.
you're watching legitimate soap operas.
Yeah.
Passions was kind it treated itself seriously. I'm sticking to my guns on that. I don't think it was a complete parody of a soap opera. I think they really, really tried to do a good job.
Yeah,
But
that's good.
it was just way too much, and I loved it.
Yeah, I think it's actually fun. And it actually is fun to be in those things because the emotions go up and down in a way that you don't normally, most roles don't really have that. And you talk about like you don't want to have boring roles. I hate one-dimensional characters also. I try to do something if I have a one-dimensional character to give it a little something, just anything. Have you ever had a one-dimensional character?
Define one dimensional in this
Like your
in this
job is
conversation.
to give information to another character and that's it. And they're the main person and your job is to give information.
I think that I've encountered characters that were intended to be somewhat one dimensional, but I absolutely refuse to let that stand.
I love it. I love it. I could actually picture that. I could picture that.
Because if you understand the script and the story and the arc, and if you're playing a supporting character, you understand your purpose for the protagonist. Like when they come across you, do they wind up better after having met you? Do they are you a piece of struggle that makes things harder, right? Like if you whatever you decide your function is as a supporting character, um, even if you're written one dimensionally, I still try to force some sort of change. I something, as long as you understand the full arc and the full story, and you're not getting in the way of that. I think that a director or a writer will tolerate a lot,
Yeah, that's
or
good.
have, in my experience, they've tolerated a lot of me just sticking stuff in because I'm still serving the point. I think.
Yeah. I do have a question for you. Just because you've done a lot of theater, you've done a lot of film, dancing, you've done all this performance, what would be the next project and the perfect role for you? Like if somebody were to write something and it's perfect for you to either dance, choreograph, act, would it be a play? Would it be a movie? Like what would be your perfect role within one of those disciplines?
Ah, oh, I don't know that I think of it like that. I reject the premise
Okay.
because
What
for
would be a
me,
good role that you would be happy with?
I'm so, you should have been prepared for me to be this intolerable. So I think that when I come across a character, if I sense that I'm able to break it down into parts, I often find that the sum of the parts are greater than the whole, right? Like that phrase and whatnot. So for me, it's not so much about the character or the type of person that it is. It's like if I see a bunch of little things that it can be, you can throw it on the ground and it shatters into how many pieces, right? The more pieces I see for the character, the more likely I am to say yes. And I'll take a simpler character if it's a new director too. There's a matrix, right?
So,
But I collect directors. So if you're a new director and you're asking me to do just about anything, I'll probably say yes if it's not horrible,
all right, so let me paraphrase your answer.
know.
So you would think, like the opposite of one dimensional. You like the idea of a character that cries, that laughs, that's happy, that's sad, that's tired, that's like just as many like an interesting performance that you get to use all your skills. Is that kind of what you were saying?
Let's go with change. A character that changes.
Okay, you want a story
Let's
arc with change
let's
and
di- let's dilute it down to if they have one opinion at this is Simba. If they have one opinion at the beginning of the scene or the movie, and then they wind up, if I can work them into the complete opposite of that opinion by the end of it, or position or whatever. Like I mean, you experienced a role like this in Wholesome Grove, right? Like you started off with one complete thing and then wound up in a completely other thing. if you give me that, I I feel like I can churn something. I can probably make butter out of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's an awesome answer. And like,
Is it?
I think it is an awesome answer. Yeah, like if you were to ask me the same question, like something, I like to be the bad guy, but that has a good side, or the good guy that has a bad side. I don't want to be just like the one-dimensional characters kill me.
Well,
And
there's no such thing as a bad guy.
there you
Because
go. That's exactly right.
so your goal, an actor's goal is to always be on your character's side, right?
Absolutely.
Defend them
Absolutely.
to the death, right? We're all lead characters in our own stories. We all have reasons why we do the shitty
That's
things
right.
that we do, and so do your characters, you know. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
there's no such thing as a bad guy. There's just the guy who's doing
Yeah.
whatever he's doing.
So, what advice would you have for new actors?
I think we already addressed this, Kyle. I'm the worst person in the world to be giving
But
advice to
oh,
people.
you no, 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 no. You're actually, look, I'm going to tell you why you're a good person for that. You are successful. You are well known. Um, you get roles
there,
in
there are plenty of
movies.
shitty people who fit those check marks right there.
There's what?
I said there's plenty of crappy people who check both of those,
Um,
successful and well.
yeah, no, I view you as one of the top performers in Kansas City. You're involved in a lot of plays. You're involved in a lot of movies. You get awards for this, meaning that people recognize and check the box, as you said. And I think you're well respected. So, I mean, if you don't have any advice, that's fine. But if you did have advice,
No, okay,
ever a
so
different,
because the events I go to and the screenings and everything like that, they always ask the people up on stage their advice or whatever. So
yeah,
while I'm completely ignoring what they're saying, I'm thinking about what my answer would be. So I do have several answers to this question. I just don't know how much anybody ought to trust me. So with that disclaimer, you said somebody who's just beginning acting or somebody who's just beginning film, or like who am I
acting,
talking to?
acting.
Acting, somebody, oh, are they about to walk onto their first film set?
They're going to walk onto their first film set.
Holy, okay. Eat your Wheaties. I don't know. Okay. Well, you could do what I did. Now I have acting training, but I'd never been on a film set, and I was just being invited to not be background, not be a PA, but to like be the lead in a film or one of the leads. That was
Wow.
my
That was your
first film.
first time in a film?
Yes, I was doing a parody for charity, which is a type of stage production that happens in Kansas City all the time, and it's still happening just under the guise right now of the sitcom series. And last year it was the 1994 project, where you take a movie that you love to hate or love to love, and you write a little silly comedic love letter to it with script in hand, right? So we've done Moulin Rouge, we've done Love Actually, we did Ferngully, like movies that everybody knows, and then you just kind of make fun of them while also lovingly playing these other actors' portrayals of. So we were doing Scrooged, which was kind of a goodbye piece to a lovely man named Joseph Fournier, and he was traveling off to New York. Um, and I was doing silly crap up on the stage, like playing Mrs. Claus or some dancer with her boobs